This is home for the Spokane tribe, their reservation in eastern Washington, northwest of the city of Spokane. Tucked in the Selkirk Mountains, the tribe has lived on this land since the reservation was established in 1881 and in the area long before. But these forests are also home to something else.
There's just a feeling, I get sick to my stomach.
Rich deposits of uranium. In the atomic sprint of the Cold War, some of the raw material came from here, the Midnight Mine. When it closed in 1981, it left a massive pit and a slew of environmental problems, toxins leaching into the groundwater, spreading into the soil, and a risk of human exposure to these contaminants.
You know, they found it on Indian lands, and it was opened up for companies to come in and pay minimal for the resources.
4 decades later, and tribal member Twala Abrahamson Swan is still working to get the reservation cleaned up. And her fight is not just against dangerous pollution, but also a larger issue, environmental racism.
My name is Isabel Carreras Amanillo. I work at University of Washington in the College of the Environment as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Program Specialist.
She teaches a course on race and the environment exploring this issue.
Environmental racism was a concept that started being used in the United States between the 70s and 80s to denote those disproportionate impact on communities of color.
With the valuable natural resource of uranium on the reservation, this is a textbook case of environmental racism. First, the government moved the tribe to this land as white settlers expanded across the U.S.
When allotments were being made, our people were pushed to the mountain areas because at that time, a lot of the farmlands were more desirable.
But that rare uranium brought the government back. This is where the Midnight Mill stood at the edge of the reservation. The reminders today are everywhere. The mine area is so contaminated, it's an EPA Superfund cleanup site. The federal agency sued the owners, Newmont Mining, to bring them back and clean it up. But the process will take years.
Because it's contamination that you really can't see or smell, so they could be going generations and generations drinking the water, breathing contaminated air and not know it.
It strikes me, I look out at this and it's this incredible, beautiful landscape, but you know from studies and from these signs, right, like that this has been poisoned basically.
I think it's a delicate balance between, too much fear in the impacts that people may get from eating the fish or eating the wildlife. We really don't want to discourage people away from that because ultimately that's the healthiest thing for them and their families. But our wildlife are impacted, our fish are impacted.
And people, too. The tribe says there is a cluster of rare health problems among their members.
We had a span of about 3 months, and we lost 10 tribal members to cancer during that time. And it was an eye-opener.
The impacts of environmental racism reach well beyond the Spokane tribe. A 2015 paper in the journal Geosciences notes, the legacy of uranium procurement has left a legacy of long-lived health effects for many Native Americans and Alaska Natives in the United States. It's been a major issue for the Navajo people as well, with over 500 abandoned uranium mines on their land.
The Midnight Mine is upstream and drains into Blue Creek here, which drains into the Spokane River and then into the Columbia River.
And here on the reservation near Blue Creek, they worry about what's happening from the laundry list of toxic chemicals found in the water, air, and soil, and in the plants and animals that can't read these signs.
So in combination, what do all of these as a mixture do to the human body? And it's not studied.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but it sounds like at some level, this place is killing people.
Yes.
That must be hard to sit with.
It's hard to sit with. I think we had a good day.
But for Twala, the fallout of environmental racism is extremely real and especially painful.
I was diagnosed with leiomyosarcoma cancer in 2016. For me, it's associated with that mine site.
This is her mother, Deb Abrahamson. Her cancer is terminal.
It angers me. It angers me that I'm in this situation.
We just immediately focused on just our own spending time with each other, continuing to go to the mountains, continuing to do this these activities as a family so we wouldn't forget those things.
What do you think is the core issue here that allows something like this to happen?
Racism, because when our country was invaded, we were viewed as a dispensable population, and so it was easy to be able to do the level of damage that has occurred on tribal lands because the people are subhuman, viewed as subhuman, and have no rights and have no say in how we conduct our lives.
Back at UW, Zamanillo says fighting environmental racism means we all should think about the impacts of the products we buy and consume. But also, she says we must continually include impacted communities in the solutions.
It's not just about solving the problems, but also listening to these communities and collaborating.
Which is what is on Twala's mind.
What we see is decisions made on behalf of the community are at the root of some of the problems, because when you don't have the impacted community in the room at all levels, these are the people that we're going to have to live with this decision for our entire life.
Because they want to move past life as a uranium-impacted community, the impacts of environmental racism.
The land is beautiful, so wonderful, yet when you look underneath, it's a deadly, toxic slime that isn't going to go away, and it's stuck on our people.